Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and get right started today with our guest. First question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, Sean. So my name is Jeremy Ames. I'm CEO and founder of Hive Tech HR. We're a company that helps our clients find, implement, and enhance their HR technology.
Fantastic. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
So what I really love about working with a team is that I love to kind of guide, but not necessarily force the culture of my company. So, I like to encourage things like inclusivity, communication amongst the team members. I want to have a culture where everyone feels comfortable providing feedback, and that can be both positive and constructive feedback. But like I said, in terms of guiding, I want to make sure those things are in place and then just let the team kind of naturally proceed down that path. So for example, you create the communication channels, you create the mechanisms in performance management to do things the right way, and then let them go. And then we kind of course correct. So I'm in place to say, like, if things start going too far constructive versus positive on the feedback, then I'm there to say, hey, let's turn things a little bit more positive here. But it's not to say it's my way or the highway. It's like, you guys, tell me if you're comfortable with this way.
I like that a lot. That idea that you kind of guide but don't force, and I think that's a great way to look at it. Question number 3. I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts.
So, I'll focus on a couple key areas where I can see and I have seen engagement suffer. So for example, when somebody's working on something that doesn't really excite them, that's a big driver, especially today where everyone wants to be making that big impact, right? So we've had several situations where, for example, you train somebody on something, they get certified on that, and then only to find out that that's not really the thing that drives them. For example, we'll have somebody get trained to be a project manager, and then when they start thinking about the actual work of a project manager, or worse yet, they're down that path of doing the work, they realize, this is not where my skill sets actually lie. This is not what drives me. So, making sure you course correct and find them the right role is really important at that point. Another thing that I've found can really hamper engagement is if you are telling somebody how they're doing and that does not line up with their own self-perception. So I've been a big proponent, and I've even spoken at conferences about manager performance ratings and the negative impact that can have on an employee's engagement. So I've come up with ways in my company to basically say, that's not the focus. It's more about how the person self-rates than somebody else telling them how they're doing.
Those are great ideas about allowing people to have a little bit of guidance there on what direction they're going and providing the right feedback. That's a great perspective. Question number 4, what other ideas do you have for leaders of teams?
You say others, I gave one already, which is to make sure you're not truly running it, but you're kind of just guiding the team. Kind of in line with that is making sure that you don't necessarily elevate yourself too high above the team, or else you'll never be considered part of it. So, nobody's going to confide in you. If they listen to you, there's going to be this kind of edge of, oh, well, he told me or she told me what to do. So I always like to try to, be humble amongst my team and realize, that they can kind of joke around with me. And if I do something wrong, it's okay if the team tells, so leaders have to be kind of able to take that, kind of keeps you on that level playing field.
Yeah, that humility is important. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
There's a bunch I can think of. I know, a couple current day examples. So just to kind of a side note is that aside from my day job, I also am the head of the membership committee of something called the Advisor Collective. And it's kind of this group of companies like mine in this HR technology industry. So a couple people in that realm, Mark Stelzner from IA, he's always kind of impressed me as like this really powerful mind that kind of inspires his team just based on his knowledge. So he's like somebody I watch and I'm like, I hope that my team listens to me and thinks about, the big ideas that I might have and compares that to, kind of how Mark leads his team. And then another person is Jamie Hawkins from BTR, or Benefits Technology Resources. She's just kind of that leader who I can tell she doesn't get too far into the weeds, but just kind of manages from the high level and is always thinking about kind of those strategic pieces that she needs to put in place, but then lets that middle management really run things. So, those are both kind of concepts that I aspire to. Obviously, I've had, managers in my former jobs that I think back to what they brought to the table, like Jim Lesagor, I worked for at Fidelity, and he was just so like fun to work for. He's the kind of guy you wanted to perform well because you knew that he was going to treat that well. So I've always tried to bring that into my leadership roles.
Thank you for recognizing those individuals. It's obvious that they've had some great influence on you for a lot of good reasons. So thank you for recognizing them. Last question. Tell us about your first job.
I mean, I had a few first jobs. Some of them weren't that interesting, like working at a golf course. I would say my first fun job was that I ran an ice cream truck. So it was just a summer job, but I got to run an ice cream truck in the summer. So that was just fun to learn how to interact with people, to sell, so it seems goofy, and honestly, it seems like something you wouldn't make money off of. You don't realize how much money ice cream truck runners make. But and the other one I will just point out, my first true job out of college was I was an international consultant for a company called Maximus. And so here I was, this kid in his early 20s, traveling to Argentina, to Egypt, and doing this high level consulting on HR, or it was actually healthcare information systems. So that's kind of like where I cut my teeth in the consulting space.
Wow, fantastic. Some great experiences. Thank you for sharing those. And Jeremy, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
So you can find me, my Twitter handle is Jeremy Allen Ames, and that's ALLYN. That might trip you up. Thanks, Mom. You can also email me at jeremy.ames@hivetechr.com, or you can call me anytime. It's 844-HIVE-TECH. That's 844-448-3832, and I'm extension 1. So I'd love to hear from you if there's anything we can help you with, or just to, pick my brain about anything going on in the HR technology market.
Fantastic. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.